I still find it so insane how I can still feel the sensation of it all over my face, all over my fingers, all over my bed sheets. Sometimes it'd even get in my pillowcase. I'd wake up to it and I'd step on it. I'd roll around in it for basically 8 hours during my sleep. I was so ashamed. I remember I'd wake up still having residue left on my fingers and my hands, and I'd scratch my face, not realizing this until it was too late. Now I have it on my eye. What am I referring to? I'm talking about crumbs. I used to be a binge eater. I used to binge eat all the time. It was something that I looked forward to at the time. I would buy 2 boxes of pizza, I'd buy a box of cookies, I'd buy 2 bags of chips. The binges would last a couple days, a couple hours. I remember I would buy copious amounts of food that I knew I wasn't gonna be able to finish. And then the next day I'd wake up and I would eat it. It was truly a terrible way to live. And I knew this wasn't gonna be sustainable. I knew this wasn't gonna benefit me at all. I knew that these actions were only making me feel like a piece of POS, wasn't a great experience. Having a healthy relationship with food is something that I always wanted to have, and it's something that I always admired other individuals that had this, because I felt like it was something that I couldn't obtain. I felt like it was out of my control. I thought that the way I was raised would always have me in this position where I just didn't know anything about nutrition, nothing about food, nothing about diet, nothing about eating until you're satisfied, not eating until you're stuffed or until the point where you feel like you're gonna puke or vomit. Just something I used to do, actually. I remember I'd go to buffets, and that's when I would stop. When I literally had to go to the restroom to go puke because my stomach couldn't hold any more food. It was terrible. So I thought that this was normal, a normal way of living. It's fine to overeat. Everybody does it. And that was just because of the people I was always surrounded with. It was the normal thing. And something that I always wanted to do, and something that I always thought and always found so attractive, was the ability to have that self-control. Or at least it didn't even seem like self-control. I thought it was self-control, but whenever others would just eat and they'd have leftovers on their plate, they wouldn't finish their whole meal, or they'd be eating nice, nutritious foods. I always admired that. Always did, especially in movies. Whenever they'd be eating this nice, healthy, medium rare steak with a side of vegetables, a baked potato, you know what I mean? They'd be eating it, chewing their food, really feeling all the different textures, all the different flavors, rather than just horking it down, rushing it like an animal. That's something that I always wanted to be able to do, especially with my food, because I'd always just hork it down. I'd basically inhale my food. It was just insane how fast and quickly I'd finish my meals. I had no confidence, low self-esteem. I couldn't look at people in the eye. I could barely look at myself in the mirror. I was so ashamed of what my physique looked like, and I had no confidence whatsoever. I'd always wear big clothes. I'd always wear multiple layers just to try and conceal my image. I was ashamed. I did not feel confident whatsoever. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin and my own body. And I knew that something had to be done. If you find yourself in a similar position, today I'm going to share with you 3 steps that truly helped me transform my relationship with food and to help me stop binge eating permanently. I call it the 3 R's, and we're going to dissect them. R number 1 is remove. When I no longer wanted to be this way, I knew that I just had to get rid of everything. All my snacks, all the bad food that I had just purchased. I knew that if I had anything around me, I was going to fold, and I knew that I couldn't. I just didn't have that self-control yet. I didn't have that discipline. I didn't have that self-will, especially when it came to food at the time. So what I did is I got all my food. I threw it away. And I know it's like throwing away money, but what's more important to you? A couple of like $20 or your long-term relationship with food? That's what you need to decide. And for me, I chose the latter. So I got this half-eaten box of pizza. I got a half bag of chips, and I still had a full bag of chips. I still had some cookies, some other little snacks that I bought. I took it outside, I put it in the bag, and I threw it away. Just got rid of it. Get rid of it. Because the longer that you have it in your surroundings, the longer that you still associate with all these foods, the longer that it's going to be until you're able to really make this first step, which is just removing whatever it is it may be for you. Maybe it's sugar. Maybe you have a huge sweet tooth. Maybe you just can't get enough of like candy and chocolates. I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever you find yourself always falling back to, always falling back on, get rid of it. And don't just say to yourself that, oh, I'm gonna just keep a little bit, I just won't eat it. I'm gonna just put it away and put it in the shelf. You're gonna eat it. put in a bag, tie the bag up, put it in the trash can. Now that you've removed all of the junk food in your environment, we can move on to R number 2, which is going to be replace. What this phase consists of is replacing all these foods that you've associated yourself with for such a long time with more beneficial, nutritious foods. For example, I used to eat chips all the time. I couldn't get enough of it. There's something about picking it up, feeling it in your hands, and having that crunch, that sensation, that mouthfeel, that texture. So I knew that that's something that I really enjoyed, was just the process of eating chips, like what I felt. So what I went ahead and did is I started replacing chips with pork rinds. They're crisp, they're crispy, they have the same sensation, they're really crunchy, and they're substantially lower in calories as well. Low calories and carbs and fats. And that was my alternative, just so that I could still have that same experience without the need of having to buy chips. That was my thing. Maybe your thing could be something else. Maybe it could be that you always eat chicken wings all the time. You always go to Wingstop. You're always purchasing, I don't know, like 20-piece chicken wings and fries. A great alternative for that could be you learning how to make your own chicken wings so you can control what's going in the chicken wings. And this is especially easy to say when it comes to making the sauces, because chicken isn't bad, chicken's a great source of protein. But whenever it comes down to the sauce, that's where the calories really spike up, and that's where it really becomes nearly addicting. You know what I mean? So see, you have binge episodes where you're eating a large, substantial amounts of chicken wings. Then what you're gonna go ahead and do is cook your own chicken wings so that you're putting in more effort for your food. Like you're replacing the foods. You're replacing it for a healthier alternative. Although it's still chicken wings, they're homemade, they're baked. Maybe you have an air fryer, you can put them in the air fryer. You can make your own sauce. You can buy a sugar-free sauce from the store. Buy more fruit. Have things that are more convenient. Being able to replace all the foods with foods that you actually enjoy and that you truly find appetizing and appealing. That's the main thing, because it's all about sustainability. It's all about what you can enjoy and what you can actually stick with, Now that you've gone ahead and replaced these foods, we move on to the third R, which is going to be reflect. You've been the catalyst to your own growth, and now it's time for you to reflect. Maybe you have had another binge throughout this process. Whatever the case may be, you need to reflect on where you are and why you're there. I remember myself when I started to make this transition from a binge eater to somebody who can just have a healthy relationship with food. I'd always find myself slipping up. I wasn't always the most consistent individual. There were times where it just called my name, literally. Like I just felt like I couldn't control it whatsoever. I felt like there was some external force pulling me to buy these foods. And that's when I really needed to ask myself, why? Why do I do this? Like, what's the deeper meaning behind me wanting to continue to eat these foods? Because I knew I didn't feel great about myself. I know that by having a healthy relationship, it was going to help me become a more meaningful individual and have a more meaningful relationship with food, thus making myself feel more great when I'm interacting with my surroundings, with people that I love, my relationships, my friends, even in public with strangers, having that confidence in myself, my abilities to hold a conversation and look at somebody in the eye. So why did I continue to buy the foods? For me personally, I guess it was like more so a coping mechanism. It was something that I associated with different things, And alongside a coping mechanism, just having that association with whatever habits it was with. For example, I always have my binge eating episodes on the weekends, especially Friday, Saturday, Sunday, And I'd always be watching YouTube or Netflix, something like that, some random videos while I'm munching away. That was my routine. That was my association. That was something that I had become so accustomed to, and it felt nearly impossible for me to break. Whatever the case may be for you, you need to just find out what it is and pick it apart and replace the associations, the triggers, because it's truly something that can be really challenging to overcome just because of the amount, depending on the amount of time you've been a binge eater. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel nearly impossible at times. But with this deliberate reflection on yourself, on your actions, on what it is that you're doing, this is where you may strike gold. This is where you can strike gold and where you will strike gold. Because once you know yourself, and once you know why, and once you know why things happen and why you act a particular way, especially when it comes to food, that's when you'll be able to really take in all of the information and truly understand where you're coming from. It won't feel like it's out of your control. It won't feel like somebody else is buying the bag of chips or like that you're forced to do so. It won't feel that way. Truly understanding your why as to why you don't want to be a binge eater anymore is something that can be truly powerful and truly beneficial to you in your progress, in your journey on this path. And once you have a full, crystal clear grasp of this concept, you're off and running. I believe in you, and I know that you can achieve this goal. You can be somebody who doesn't have guilt and shame whenever it comes to eating food. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you can eat a couple of chips and feel satisfied with the amount that you weigh and say, that's enough. Or not even that's enough, you just don't crave it anymore. You'd much rather have a more satiating steak with some like bowl of fruit on the side, maybe some Greek yogurt. Well, it just takes time. But I believe in you. And you need to believe in yourself and your capabilities and your abilities. And trust in yourself to make the great decision, to put yourself in a better position that you were in yesterday. And remember, it's never too late to have a great day.